Okay. Hi all, welcome to the demo day 1 session. So as a continuation to the orientation session we had Monday, today we shall discuss on what you can expect from this trainings and the course structure. Okay. So if you see the typical BI or the ETL architecture, right? Any company will have its own predefined OLTP systems. OLTP systems are online transaction processing systems, which are integrated with your websites, with the respective company websites or POS machines or to the respective transactional websites. So they have a transactional website. Just like if you go into Costco or any, say suppose for Costco itself, if you go to Costco, you will have the POS machines where the person or the salesperson will be entering all the customer related information using that POS machine. That will go into the back end into a website, sorry, into a database. This is called as OLTP system. Okay. Now, as we discussed in the previous class, so any manager or any CEO would like to see a proper report or would want to do analytical activities or want to forecast. So these are three typical operations any manager will be doing. So in that way, he cannot disturb the regular OLTP system or a regular the database for which the transactional activities are happening. So that's where a data warehouse is handy, and this system is called as OLAP system, online and analytical processing system. Okay. Now, as part of this ETL class, we will let you know what is the structure, which is nothing but called as schema of the database OLTP system. Okay, and how does data flow into it? In the sense, if there are if there are 10 to 15 tables that are being created in a database in OLT or the OLTP system, how does the data interact for new, existing, updations and deletions? So that we will understand only when we know the schema of the database. So as part of this training, we will let you know database concepts, design concepts. Okay, this includes what is RDBMS, okay, what is CODDs rule, okay, and we will also let you know how this schema is defined, which is nothing but a combination of tables. What goes into these tables is columns. What is the data type, which means what's the character, whether it's a number, whether it's a characteristic, or whether it's a time format. So how do you define each column in your table? So that's data type. So what is the length of the column? Okay, and the other schema concepts like procedures, like sequences, indexes and partitions. So this will be in detail mentioned to you as part of database design concepts. Okay, and then once it is explained, or once we are done with it, then we need to interact with the database, right? So how do we interact? As said earlier, we need to know SQL for it. So SQL will be part of this training. So in SQL, we will teach you how to write data definition, means how to create the tables. Okay, so that's called as data definition language. So how do you create, how do you modify it, so forth will be explained. Then data manipulation, which means how do you read it, how do you read the data from these tables. So this includes select queries, and then how do you use from, there, in, having, other functions, and then how do you use joins. Okay, and then general functions like decode, and then nested queries, and then subqueries. And we will touch base with a few of PLSQL concepts like coalesce, and then few other concepts of PLSQL, but not into in depth. Okay, so that is from SQL end. Okay, so once that is done, then we will go into the next one, is the data warehouse architecture. So in the data warehouse design, we'll discuss about how does the schema of data warehouse is different to database. Okay, and then the dimensions and facts definition and their usage in DW schema. How does they help? On a broader sense, this will help you in reporting purpose actually. Okay, so how does that help in database in reporting part? So once that is known, then we will explain, then we will see how to do data validation from source to target. Okay, and then this includes how to write count validations, then data validations, because as the data set will be huge, we need to know how to do the data validation, because millions of rows, if we have to validate, it's not that easy, right? So what techniques that should be used in order to do data validations? For this, we will align the data warehouse and database design concepts to come to a conclusion on what best way can be availed in order to do the effective data validation. The general thumb rule in data warehouse testing is, or ETL testing is, we cannot validate or make sure all the records are working fine. So it's like you have to do a random testing, but an effective random testing, right? So how to do that, we will let you know. Okay, and then the most important thing is the tool, the ETL tool which we are using. So that's as discussed, it would be Informatica. Okay, how to use the tool, what are the areas of tool, like what's the use of having Power Center designer, and what is workflow manager, what's workflow monitor. Okay, So what's the use of these areas in the Informatica tool, and how do you use it for the ETL process? So the core of the entire tool is Power Center Designer. This is where the transformations, mappings are created. So this is more about the ETL tool. I just forgot to mention. So in the data warehouse design, yeah, okay. Apart from this, we will let you know what are the different transformations and how does they will be helpful in data migration. So when to use which type of transformation, in which case we need to use the mentioned transformation, that we will be letting you know. Okay. So this once done, then we will touch base on Unix concepts. The basic commands required in an ETL project. So this will complete the ETL live training. Any questions so far? Okay. So there's a question on Power Center design. Ravi is asking. Okay. The question is. Okay. So will we have an access during the live training to Informatica tool? No. During live training, we will not provide you the access. But while giving the live project, right, we will have it hosted on our server, and you will be able to access it. Okay. Okay. There's another question. Will this help in and making sure we can test in the live project? Yes, this will be more than enough. Live training will make you comfortable to do the live project. So in live project, right, we will provide you a source system which can be both flat files and database system. Both will be your source systems, and then from that, using Informatica, the mappings will be created by our team. Okay. Now, one second, please. Now, using the existing source system, right, and the requirement, you have to validate these mappings. Okay, which are already created by our team. So this you will be validating, and then once you run these mappings, whatever data is copied into or migrated into data warehouse, you will have to make sure they are as per the requirement. Okay. Yes, Sunit, you had a question. You raised your hand. Okay. Can you explain or show how to see the query built on mapping? Meaning, once the transformation logic built in mapping designer, can we show? Yeah, so this will be as part of the training. At this point, we cannot show you, Hari. Okay, but during the training, we will let you know how the mapping is created based on the requirement. Okay, so simple example for you to understand is, Say suppose I have a database in there's a table employee. Okay, in that I have employee ID, name, sorry, this is first name, this is first name, and I have last name. So this is my source table, but in my target, my definition is employee ID and full name. Full name is concatenation of first name and last name. So for this, in the ETL tool, I will write a mapping. Okay. Say suppose the mapping name is m underscore emp underscore dimension. This is a dimension. Okay. So now for this, the logic that the respect in the tool, whatever developer has written, we will have to cross verify. So for that, I'm jump starting. So I'm using first name and last name, right? But in target it is full name. So which means I'm concatenating this. So for this, developer has to use expression transformation. Okay. So because I know which transform should I use, I'm directly telling you that we should use expression transformation. So at the end of the training, you will also know for this requirement, what type of transformation should be applied by the developer in the mapping. Okay. All right. So this will be what it will be taught in this particular session. All right. Okay. Hope it answered your question, Hari. Sunil, is the entire course done by yourself or someone else will be taking over for teaching? No, it will be done by myself, Sunil. Okay. No, okay. So Hari's question is he don't want to depend on developers. No, see, purely this is okay. For others to also to clear the air, ETL testing is a combination of white box and black box testing. Okay. So what we do in white box testing, we see the code written by the developers, right? And in black box testing, we do the functional testing, right? Agreed everyone? Even in ETL testing also, we will be doing white box testing and black box testing. White box testing is we will open the tool and see the mappings created by developers for each data warehouse table and cross verify whether it is written as per the business logic. Now that's more of white box testing. Whereas in black box testing, we make sure the data is correctly copied from source to target. Source can be anything. It can be an XML file, notepad, or it can be a PDF document. It can be a database. Okay, it can be multiple database also. So from source to target as per the business logic. Okay. So for white box testing, we need to have complete understanding about the tool. Unless and until we don't know about the tool, it is of no use, right? So for that sake, in this training, we will be letting you know how to use Informatica and where do you see your mappings and how do you validate the logic. So each and every section of the tool will be shown to you. Okay. Yes, Sunit. We will be using XML sources too. Okay. Apart from the flat files like Notepad or CSV, we'll be using XML also. All right. So that again will be a part of live project, not in the live training. Okay. Will there be any guidance with respect to interview questions? Emily. Okay, yes. As part of the training, right, every now and then between the training, we will be letting you know what can be the ETL interview questions. Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay. There is another question on how does a database schema and data warehouse schema are different? Okay. Now, if you see in this example which I showed, in my source I have employee ID, first name and last name. But my report requirement is I want the employee ID and the full name. I don't want first name and I don't want the last name. Okay. So if you see, this was my source schema, but this is target schema, right? So the way I'm seeing the data or the way I'm copying data into my respective source and target tables are different, right? So that's where our data validations or the mapping validations will come into handy. Okay. Okay. There's another question. Where does Unix come into picture in the entire ETL testing? Okay. See, there are two ways of there are two approaches in any testing project. One, client may give access to entire tools. So in this case, if they give access to ETL tool, that is Informatica or any other tool, okay, it's well and good. We can use the respective options in the ETL tool to run the mappings. So we will be in Informatica perspective, we will use workflow uh, manager to run the mappings. Okay. But what if the client doesn't give any tool access? Generally, in finance-based projects, finance or banking, tools are not given access to all. Only to few the access will be given. And from testing perspective, they don't want tester to be both white box as and black box tester. The reason being, there's a lot of security issues there. If a person knows entire about the system, right, it will be a problem. So that's the reason few teams will be working on white box and few teams will be working on black box. So in that, we don't have access to. In that case, we don't have access to the tool. So when we don't have access to tool, how do we run mappings? Right? So the solution for it is this data warehouse will be hosted on Unix box. So it's like you going into your Windows machine, going to the navigating to the place where your mappings are created and right clicking on them and run, right? How do you install your regular applications, right? The same in Unix command also, you can go to the path where the mappings are stored, okay, and you can run them. So for that you need, how do you use the Unix box? And that's where Unix commands will help you. All right. Okay, there was another question. Vineet is having an on-the-job opportunity. Vineet, you can do that, but can we have it as an offline discussion, please? Please email me on. Please share your number. We will have a call on this. Okay. But this training will give you an experience of 3 years. Whatever we teach here, right? It would be more practical oriented, and you will have an experience level gained of 3 to 4 years after this training. Okay. Okay. So just to give a glimpse on how the future of ETL testing will be, right? So everyone might have heard about big data. Okay. So this is a huge makeshift in data warehouse industry. The reason being, right, just to give an idea, 1 second please. Just to give an idea, uh, when you copy data from source to target, right, they are two different systems. Now, if I have any issue in the target system, that's my data warehouse, okay, after all the data from flat files, database coming and copying into this, I don't have any process to find out where, if any issue crops up in the target system, where the data got corrupted. In the sense, I'll have to go back to the source system or the source location and cross verify, right? So that's one issue with the regular data warehouse. Now that problem has been solved using big data, where in your target you will have source system traces, which means you will see this data has been copied from this flat file. This data has been copied from this source database. So you will have the traces of from which source system it has been copied. Now once you know which source system you have copied, you can directly go to that particular location and can resolve. Whereas in a regular data warehouse, you will have to investigate and find out what's the what went wrong or where it went wrong, right? So that problem is solved by big data. Now also you see a lot of mergers and acquisitions these days. So each company will be using their own source systems and their own structure of schema. The naming conventions will be different, and how they store and where they store is different. In this kind of environments, when mergers happen, right, and acquisitions happen, you will have to copy the company which was merged in the data of the company's data of which the merger happened into the company which acquired it, right? So obviously it cannot be a direct copy. You need to have a lot of logics validation, okay, and you need to have a thorough validation to make sure the data is copied correctly. So that's where again ETL tool will be coming into hand. So as long as data is there in the world, there is every need of reporting and analysis. And then if that is the case, then you need to have ETL tool at any cost. Now whatever is the tool, as I said earlier, 5% is tool, 95% is the logic, the business, how the business is created. So if you know how to do ETL testing, what are the ETL testing concepts, whatever may be the tool, you can mold yourself. Okay. and there's a lot that will go into the ETL tool market, ETL testing market going forward. Okay. So opportunities are more. Hope it answered your question, Vineet. Any other questions, please? Okay. How does automation fit here? There's another question. Okay. See, automating this ETL testing process is bit tedious. Okay. The reason being, right, uh, not all data warehouse systems are stable at this point. I mean, if you go into any project, right, they are still enhancing or developing the ETL process or the data warehouse schema. Okay, in that case, ideally we do, even in functional testing also, we automate only when we have regression need, right? Unless and until the system is stable, we will not do regression. Unless and until if we have regression need, then only we'll do automation. That is the basic thumb rule, right? Even in even in ETL testing also, unless your data warehouse schema is stable, we cannot automate. Ideally, we can automate, but it's not suggestible to automate. So now, say suppose this data warehouse schema is stable and the system is stable. What all areas can be automated? One, schema validations of both source and target. Two, the data validations. Okay, how do you validate your data? So that you can do as per using the ETL and the automation tool. Ideally, Perl script is the best for ETL automation because it's very faster and it gives a lot of options to do it. Also, we have few what do you say, already built-in automating tools like data validator and ETL validator. This is by data gaps, and this was DVO was a company which started this data validator. Later, Informatica acquired it. Okay, so these two are the widely used ETL automation tools. There are other like query search is also there, which are inbuilt, which will help in ETL validations. Okay. All right. Any other questions, please? Can we get the training of any of them later? Yeah. The plan is once the live training and live project is completed, based on the request from people, we will start the any of the tool. But I would like ETL validator is the simplest of all of these tools. Okay. So we'll let you know how to use ETL validator, but not in this as part of this training, but as a separate training. Okay. what Divya is asking, what are the other scripting languages will be used in ETL testing? Apart from SQL and Unix commands, we don't need any other language. We will not be using any other languages. Okay. Only in automation, if you are automating this process, then we might use Java for Selenium or VB script using UFT or QTP. Shell scripting for data validations, and Perl script again for data validations. Okay. Okay, there's other question from Sunit. Any BI tools will be covered. You mean to say reporting, right? Yes. See, okay, just to clarify, BI is a combination of ETL plus reporting actually. Okay, so BI, as part of the reporting tool, we will show you OBIE, but not what do you say, in depth actually. The reason being, right, this is purely ETL training. Okay, if you want us to have a BI or so reporting also added, please let us know now so that we will add to the curriculum. Okay, but then again it will cost extra. All right. The actual plan was to have the complete BI testing, but then again the duration was heavy and people will get lost in between. So we thought of having it as a separate session because OBI itself will take, if you want to learn OBI testing or using OBI tool, the reporting testing, we may need at least 10 days of time. So we need to understand, just like for ETL tool, how we have implemented, even for OBI, we have something called as RPD. Okay, this we need to understand. And just like we have schema for a data warehouse or this data warehouse design structure, even for reports or reporting tool also, there will be a schema. Okay, that we need to understand. In terms of SSRS, we call as cubes. Okay, so whatever it is, whether it's RPD or cube, how the data is shown will be the same. The concepts will be the same. Only it's just the tool. So if you want even the reporting tool also to be explained, please just let us know. All right. Ideally, we would suggest to have a separate session. All right. Any other questions, please? Okay. The last point. Okay. From how frequently nowadays data is migrated to Hadoop? I have understanding and hand-on. See, it all depends on the type of business a company is doing. See, a banking project, every 1 hour they do the data migrations. Whereas if you take any retail chains, they will be using it on a daily basis. Okay. Now when we come to a school or a college, they will be doing once in a quarter. So it all depends on the type of business to conclude what is the frequency of data migration, right? So there is no hard and fast rule that we should do it on this or so regularly. It all depends on the type of business, the need. See, it's okay. Simple way of telling is I have only one row inserted into my OLTP system or database system every 1 month, or only 5 to 10 rows are being updated, or say maximum 1000 rows are also 1000 rows are updated. If that is the case, there is no point of running the ETL mapping, because there goes a lot of effort into it, right? So people will generally schedule it for every 1 month or every quarter. But whereas in banking, there's a lot of transactions that happen, millions of transactions will happen. So for reporting purpose, you need all this data, right? So you will have to run it every 1 hour, right? So based on the business need, the frequency will be defined. All right. Okay. Now coming back, how do we align the testing, ETL testing with the regular testing activities? So how is requirement analysis different from regular web application requirement analysis? So how is it different from writing test cases in ETL? How does the execution or the test planning has to be done? How should we define the test approach in ETL testing? How do we escalate the defects? How do we close? How do we create the artifacts for ETL testing? So these all are also of is quite different from the regular web-based application testing. So we will align the regular testing activities with the ETL testing process, and we will let you know how to do that. Okay, so that we will again let you know in the live project. All right. Okay, so this is it for today. So from tomorrow, next session will be on the database concepts, the database schema definition, etc. Okay, so today we will be joining back on to discuss about the database concept. So I am done for today. Please post if you have any questions. What is the training schedule and timings? We'll follow the same timing as of now what we are doing. We'll start from next 14th, I mean this 14th, October 14th, we'll start the actual trainings, okay? October 14th is day 1, yes. Okay. We will not have a weekend sessions. Weekdays it will be Monday to Thursday. Okay. See, if it is delayed, right, we will extend. It's not that we will hurriedly close the training. We will make sure people understand whatever we are teaching. So if needed, we will let you know twice or thrice. We will repeat that. we want to make sure when we go into live project, we are all set with all the ETL concepts. Okay, so these dates may extend, these dates may be delayed, but this is where we need, if needed, we will extend. Okay. In live project, right, we will create a project already. Okay, we will be creating a project and we will give you requirements. You need to requirement analysis, then create your test cases, test plan, and then while executing, you will see how the mappings are already created, run them, see whether the data from your source system has been copied. So it's live project means it's completely live. Okay. All right. Any other questions, please? Okay. Is it a finance project? Uh, okay. No, it's not a finance project. It is a retail project. We have created it for Flipkart. Uh, okay. It's just a general question for all. Do you want it as a finance project? Others are also on the same page. If you want, we'll have to recreate it. Okay, fine. Okay, we'll create a finance project only. All right. You heard finance is more tough. Uh, Not tough actually, but there is a lot of compliance activities that happen in a finance project. So you'll see a lot of data masking. Data masking it, your data will be hidden. So you'll see a lot of what you say password, how the password is embedded, right? Encrypted. The same happens in finance also. You'll see a lot of data encryption. So once it is copied into target, the same encryption should be there. So at times it's very tough to do the data validations. And the data will be stored in very detailed. So there will be a lot of tables and columns in it. And the data set is huge, right? Obviously it would be in millions of records. So validating that is all obviously a problem. But again, if you know the ETL concepts well, right, you need not validate all the data. Okay, there's a saying in India actually. If you have to check whether the rice is cooked or not, you need not see every rice piece. Touching one will be enough. The same here also. If you have to validate the entire data, if you know how to use the business logic and the ETL concepts, it's very easy. Okay. All right. Any other questions, please? Okay. I don't see any other questions. So tomorrow we'll start on the database concepts. All right. Thanks for joining today's session. Good night and good day.